Now I want to invite to the stage our mayor here in New York and my friend who's come here to talk about a very important global challenge. From the floods in Rio to the storms in Southeast Asia to the devastation of Sandy, the risks that climate change brings are on the rise. We had an interesting meeting over lunch with representatives of, among others, the insurance industry. We were talking about how difficult it is even to price such things because the number of severe weather incidents is going up so much. And in each of the last 2 decades, I believe it is accurate to say that insured losses from natural events have tripled, which understates the problem since many of the poorest places in the world being damaged are not covered by insurance. I watched the mayor and our governor and the governor of New Jersey and others in the aftermath of this breathtakingly devastating storm try to minimize the damage and minimize the disruption and maximize the chances for beginning again. And on this and so many other issues, I think Mayor Bloomberg has truly been a great mayor for New York. He also was early to recognize the urgency of the climate change challenge. He became the chairman of the C40, a group which our climate change effort at the Clinton Foundation has been honored to work with for many years. And under his leadership, the C40 is making a CGI commitment which, when put into practice, will have a significant impact on the ability of cities all over the world to respond to the challenges presented by climate change. I am, as usual, not only grateful to him, but impressed that he focused on the nub of a problem and came up with a reasonable response. So, Mr. Mayor, please come out and announce the C40 commitment, and thanks for your leadership of New York and of the C40.
Well, Mr. President, thank you, and thank you for those words. They were not deserved, but my mother would have loved them. But the real star of this show, and the real reason I came out here, you think it was to announce something, but it really was to say how pleased and honored we are to welcome Secretary Clinton back to New York City and to thank her for her extraordinary service to our nation. In fact, let me say to all those visiting our city from elsewhere, including Mayor Pais, welcome to New York. I had the pleasure of being the mayor's guest. Eduardo could not have been nicer. His beautiful city is one of the great cities, and if you're a soccer fan or a sports fan, Rio's the place to be in the future, and it's going to be great to work with him. If you haven't been to Rio yet, you won't want to miss CGI's next meeting there, and that perhaps is even bigger than the World Cup or the Olympics, which they're also going to host. At least it is in the minds of the president. Which would you rather be at? He's thinking. I'll get back to you on that. Anyways, who knows? Maybe we'll all be joined there. And we'll all stay for the Olympics in 2016 as well. Seriously, Rio is like New York. It is part of the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group, which was founded by President Clinton and former London Mayor Ken Livingstone. And I am currently pleased to serve as C40's chair because with the help from President Clinton and his foundation, C40 has taken the lead in assisting the world's major cities to create more healthy and hopeful and sustainable futures. And from the outset, C40's top priority has been and remains shrinking the world's urban carbon footprint. The reason? Cities account for something like 75% of all the world's greenhouse gas emissions, emissions that the scientific consensus tells us are seriously altering the Earth's climate. And C40's leadership role is crucial because while C40 consists of just 63 cities, why it's C40, 63 cities, don't ask. But if they were a country, they'd be the third most populous nation on Earth with an economy the size of China's. So it really is a very big deal. Now C40 is intensifying its efforts on another front, adapting to the extreme weather events that are becoming more the new normal in our world's climate. Cities simply can't afford to close their eyes and hope for the best. In many cases, we've already caught a glimpse of the worst of what the future may hold. More frequent and intense droughts, more deadly heat waves, more powerful coastal storms, just like the one that brought unparalleled destruction to New York City just 6 months ago, Hurricane Sandy. We just have to face up and respond to all the risks that we face. And the best way to do that is by acting together. And C40 recognized this way back in 2008 when we convened the first ever international conference on climate adaptation in megacities. And I'm pleased to announce the launch of a new C40 initiative, our Clinton Global Initiative Commitment to Action, that will help cities systematically assess and address this issue. Currently, as you may know, there is no common framework for measuring climate risks. There is no ways to know whether a city is more or less at risk this year than it was last, or what the biggest risks are. And we all know if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, and that includes managing climate risks faced by some 500 million residents of C40 cities. Our new climate risk network, which will be a combined effort of C40 and the Clinton Global Initiative, drawing on CGI's vast private sector resources and public sector knowledge. It will bring together city officials, technical experts, representatives of leading institutions, including development banks and also leaders from the insurance industry, especially Allied World Insurance, which will provide the staff's expertise for this effort. The network goal, forge a common framework on climate risk, one that will enable city leaders to measure their own potential problems and devise effective solutions, one that will give lenders and insurers and others better information to support projects mitigating climate risks. It won't be easy. And you say, how can it be done? Well, I'm just confident that we can do it. C40 has also already modeled this approach in another area, measuring the carbon footprint of the world's cities. And today, through our partnership with the Carbon Disclosure Project, 85% of C40 cities are filing such carbon information in a single report. And we've developed a common global framework for calculating that data, and we're working with the World Bank, I'm happy to say, and others to get all cities to adopt that framework. Now, many said that couldn't be done. Getting so many cities on the same page would be like wrangling the proverbial herd of cats, but I think we're proving the naysayers wrong. We're also confident because of New York City's own experience. Facing up to the risks of climate change isn't anything new for us here. 6 years ago, we reported that sea levels in New York Harbor were rising, and that flagged the ominous fact. And since then, we've taken steps to safeguard our city from rising sea levels and higher storm surges, even in the face of derision that we were allowing, quote, hothead scientists, unquote, to shape city policy. I haven't seen those people write those editorials more recently, but that was neither here nor there. If we hadn't taken such steps seriously, if we hadn't proactively prepared for more intense coastal storms, Hurricane Sandy's consequences would have been far worse for us than they were. And in a few weeks, we will release a new strategy, the result of a study directed by Seth Pinsky, the president of the city's Economic Development Corporation, designed to make our city more resilient to the risks of climate change. Because of our experience and commitment, and because we have now been battle-tested by Sandy, NYC looks forward to working with our C40 colleagues and the CGI in helping other cities meet these challenges as well, and perhaps we can prevent the terrible destruction that nature can cause, or at least mitigate it and prepare for the worst. So, Mr. President, thanks for everything you do, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to work with your group.
Thank you.